Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features hundreds, literally hundreds of interviews with successful, proven Amazon course students. That's right, the flagship training of our community, the 80,000 plus people who are in our free Facebook group, all the students who are sharing their stories. What do they all have in common? They're proven Amazon course students, provenamazoncourse.com. That's the website. Go check it out. And today we've got yet another great story from a student. This time, he's been in our community for several years. He's actually went from being a successful student to coach on our team. He's coached a lot of people. He's going to be interviewed by one of our coaching team leaders today, Brian Olson. If you've been listening to our show for a while, you hear Brian and Robin Joy once a week or so, Coach's Corner. Well, they like to do interviews just like I do, and we've got a great interview for you lined up today with Ed and Brian. Something I wanted to point out to you before we jump into this episode, though, just kind of help you step back and see our organization from a 10,000 foot view, maybe for a moment. What we do here is we take clueless newbies, people who maybe have never had any success on e-commerce, or they've bounced around from thing to thing, haven't found anything that works. Maybe you're just looking for a little side spare income. We take those kind of people, we educate them on the possibilities. We expose them to what we believe to be the lowest risk. We know it's the lowest cost. We know it's the lowest barrier to entry. And we see it as the highest odds of success business model that's available to anyone who's ready to do the work. So what we do is we expose those newbies to this concept. We call it the low, low, high. Low risk, low cost, low learning curve, high odds of success model. And what ends up happening is a lot of those students go on to blow our minds. They do incredible things. They build beautiful businesses. Some of them are just happy for a little extra spending money, and that's great. Others go on and build truly special businesses. And we tap those people on the shoulder and we say, hey, you really get it. If they've got a teacher's heart, they've got a good heart for others, they love sharing, helping others learn, and they're succeeding, we bring them in as a coach. Now we've got a handful of coaching team leaders who manage those coaches. And today you're going to meet one of the coaching team leaders, Brian, and one of the coaches who has that backstory of discovering Amazon as a clueless newbie, kind of being thrust into it because of some life changes during COVID and the robust business they've now built, the realities of it. He calls it an easy business model, but it's not. It's a simple business model, but it's not easy, meaning there is work involved, but it's simple to explain. He explains his 3S formula. I love that today. I love how every student in our community kind of adapts their own processes and their own take on this business, maybe a certain unique set of tools that they gravitate towards. By the way, all the tools that Ed and Brian mentioned today will be listed in the show notes. We've got a lot of discounts on a lot of them. Some of them, it's our affiliate link, but a lot of them you can get for very inexpensively as well if you end up gravitating or checking out any of those tools. But I just wanted to point out to you that this flywheel of turning clueless newbies into leaders who inspire others, that's what we do here. That's what you're about to experience today as you listen to Brian and Ed dive into Ed's story. So enjoy this episode. Thanks for being a part of our community. One last thing, you'll hear this as a call to action from the guys today that you're about to meet as well, is give us a call, get on our calendar. Do you want to talk to us about going further, faster in your own e-commerce journey? One of the most expensive mistakes, one of the most costly things you could possibly do is to try to guess your way through this, go it alone, figure it out by watching random YouTube videos and kind of piecing it together. You're going to make so many mistakes. You're going to cost yourself so much time and money, lost time and resources that you could have applied to the proven paths that we are so excited about around here. Give us a call. Let's have a conversation about it. Help you make a good decision, help you go further, faster in the right direction. I heard recently, speed is only a good thing if you're going in the right direction. I really like that. We want to get you going in the right direction. So hop on our calendar, silentjimdotcom/book a call. There's information there. You can call us or text us right now, or you can hop on our calendar at a time that's convenient for you. But let's have that chat. All right. Hey, let's jump into the episode and hear Brian Olson interviewing Ed Dassie. You're going to enjoy this.
Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I am your co-host, Brian. Today I'm joined, special guest, Mr. Ed Dassie joining us. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to this interview. I've seen you around at several of the Proven conferences, met you and Carla before. We haven't spent a lot of time hanging out, but at some point during the, I'm going to say off season this year, we heard that you were looking for a new coaching team. Like your old coaching team basically disbanded. And so I was like, as soon as I heard that, I called Matt and Nate and I was like, please put Ed on our team. So I want to talk about the coaching aspect, what your approach to coaching and all that stuff is. But before we get down that path, why don't you just tell us, where you're from and maybe what sort of drew you to this Amazon business?
Yeah, well, I got started back in 2016. 2016 is a little side gig. My wife and I have another business that we work with children with special needs. My wife and I have 3 children with special needs, 2 of them with severe special needs, and we learned a movement therapy, a specific movement therapy to help kids with special needs. We started it to help our own kids, and then it turned into becoming practitioners of this particular work. So we did that for 10 years and right up to something called COVID. And so, like I said, 2016, I started my Amazon business, but it really didn't do much. It was kind of a side gig until 2019. In 2019, my wife actually asked me a question that really kind of broke me out of a rut, which was, yeah, Ed, this business you have, is it a business or a hobby? Because this little business you have is costing us a lot of money. So why don't we turn this into a business? And it was funny. I was at a convention for our other work. And at that moment, I decided I know the magic pill. I'm going to hire 2 virtual assistants and I'm going to turn this thing into, the big business it should be. So 2019, I did that. And which, by the way, was the worst thing to do, but I'll talk about that maybe later. But I hired 2 VAs and I started really doing online arbitrage. We started with RA, retail arbitrage, in 2016 and did that all the way to 2019. And in 2019, I just really, I don't know, I clicked into online arbitrage, especially with the 2 VAs, virtual assistants, bringing me leads. And then you know what happened in 2020, which was March of 2020, I believe it was, March or May. Everything went to, in a bad way. Yeah. And our business was mostly travel. So we would travel around the world. We've been to everywhere from Canada, all states in the US, Denmark, Mexico. So we've been a bunch of different places. And once we couldn't travel anymore because of COVID, this Amazon business, this little Amazon business, which I really started kicking in 2019, became a really important thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the bigger launch of my Amazon business in 2019. And then in the first year of 2020, I was like, okay, this is a real deal. We can do this. So ever since then, we've been gung-ho with it. And it's our big deal.
And so when you were traveling the world, this was as part of your move practitioner?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I didn't say that. It was the work that we did with the kids around the world, not with Amazon. So
yeah. So that's interesting. What kind of when you're traveling to another place, what would be your, your outcome, or what was your mission while you were there?
So just like therapy, you do physical therapy or occupational therapy or any kind of therapy, you do sessions on a table. This is kind of what we do. We do sessions on a table, helping kiddos to move better, to have a better emotional state, have a better cognitive ability. By movement, you can help the brain learn. And that is what we did. We implemented that with children. We worked hands-on with children to get those better outcomes as they had different diagnoses of, any kind of cerebral palsy, epilepsy, cognitive issues, genetic issues. We worked with all sorts of different kids. And that's what we did. We went out to different states, different countries, worked with a set of kids that was either through other practitioners or other organizations. And we were loving that. We loved the outcomes we were getting over time. And that's why we kept going back, is that you can't just do it once and it's done. You kind of keep doing it over and over, just like Amazon. You keep
Yeah.
doing it over and over, and you get better outcomes as the time goes on.
Yeah, well, that's just, comes from a place of a big heart. I know it's also given back a ton. I can't imagine just the feeling that, the restrictions, the sort of, yeah, I guess maybe that's one way, just the best way I can put it, that, you know, the child, the family, and everyone feels in those situations, and you're there to help them find some freedom.
Yep. And one of the things that my wife and I both excelled in that industry, if you will, is that we were parents. We are parents of children with
Mhm.
special needs. I have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old that are the severe ones. And we've been living through it, living life with the special needs and the different communities and the different services that you can get through the state. So when we went into these different locations and worked with parents, we could relate to them pretty darn quickly.
Mhm.
So it was a really good thing for a long time. And we loved it because, again, we were getting great results with the kids. So it was a very rewarding type work, as well as working with the parents. Because just because the kiddos got the challenges physically, cognitively, emotionally, the parents got that too. So we were half therapist, half practitioner.
That's right.
So,
Yes. Yeah. Well, kudos to you both. It's a noble mission, and I can't imagine how many people are grateful for what you guys surely continue to do on some level. So,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
we're still doing some of it, and we're
okay,
we're grateful for the opportunity.
yeah,
So.
awesome. Well, I'm circling back to when you were first starting your Amazon business. You kind of named going to VAs, maybe not your smartest move, but what were some of your early mistakes, and what were you able to learn from them and correct going forward?
My biggest mistake, I will say, is I call it the roller coaster
Hmm.
of buying products, selling out, starting over. That was probably the biggest mistake out of all the things that I did for the first 3 years or almost 3 years. Was buy a lot of products, sell them all out, start from the scratch. And you kind of had this roller coaster business where I never really got any traction with that. And I've heard along the years, got to feed the beast, feed the Amazon
Hmm.
beast. And I thought, okay, well, I'm feeding them by giving them something, and then I sell out, and then I'm done. So that was kind of the biggest mistake that I did over and over. And I don't know why I expected something different from that kind of activity, but yeah, it was just a recycling of the bad decisions. So
What was the change for you? Were you just
I think that the biggest change, so the good news out of the virtual assistants that I hired were that they provided consistency to my business that I didn't have. They were providing leads on a regular basis that I had to act on. So I had to analyze them, I had to purchase them, I had to get them into Amazon to sell them because I've always been FBA. And that was really good because I don't think I was as consistent. I would buy a lot of products with RA, for instance, and then leave it for 2 months, sell out, and then start over. Whereas them sending me stuff every day, 5 days a week, just kept me on the ball. Got to keep doing this. Got to keep doing this. Got to keep doing this. So that was a big change, which I didn't have for 3 years. So
so it was more of a consistent approach as opposed to a once every month or every couple of months?
yeah, and I was sending in products before they sold out, before I sold out of everything,
Yeah.
before what I thought I needed more products, I was sending in stuff on the regular. So that was a big difference, big
And
mindset
so
shift.
once that sort of kicked in for you, was there like a specific moment when you were like, okay, this works?
Yeah. like I said, in 2020, when we really went more crazy, if you want to call it, with it,
Yeah.
I was doing, just to throw some numbers out, I was just doing around, I think, 30,000 in total sales revenue from 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
And in 2020, we did 260,000. And I'm like, huh, okay, that's just regular consistent effort. And now, I'm producing $250,000 of revenue with just what we did. And I wasn't even doing, like, I didn't feel like we were even like going crazy with it. I mean, we're going crazy as far as like investment in products and stuff like that has never been higher. But
Mhm.
I was like, okay, all right, this is something legitimate. This is something we can do. And COVID was still going on in 2021, 22, 23, whatever. And we're like, well, I can't really do the other work. So let's just amp this up another notch. And in the second year, we did almost 500,000. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
something's here.
Yeah.
Something's here. So we
Okay.
just keep amping it up now.
Now, you said you've been FBA the whole time. During COVID, there were a lot of restrictions about what you could send in. Did that slow you down?
Say that again. The restrictions of what we can send in.
Yeah, right. During COVID, it was like essential products only for a
Oh,
while,
okay.
right? Like for those for about 6 months, it was like, nope, you can't send that in, but we could sell it FBM, right?
Yeah, I didn't really suffer from that too much. I was
Okay.
surprised. Yeah, because I remember that big push on, only essential items. I think it only lasted a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And, we had enough stuff in there at the moment that we were selling that, and we weren't doing what we do today. So I don't think it was such a big deal.
Okay.
We got through
Yeah,
that hump pretty quick.
that's great. Was
Yeah.
there like a product or a product line or even a category where you really started to gain some traction?
Yeah, the beauty in healthcare is
Uh-huh.
something that I never would have imagined selling
Yeah.
anything of. I know what mascara and blush and foundation and all that stuff is. I had no idea what any of that stuff was, but yeah, it's stuff that we're continuing to sell.
So you kind of mentioned this before, but just for clarity, when you were approaching that 500,000 or breaking through that, is that when you kind of felt like this went from a side hustle to a legit business?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And again, I couldn't go back to my other things, so at one point, I was thinking of going to get a job, and I'm
Hmm.
an old man now, and I don't think I can get a job. So, well, I probably could, but it wouldn't be anything close to what I want to do, or I'm not a good listener to younger people
Uh-huh.
that are going to try to tell me
Uh,
what to do. So,
uh-huh.
unless they know a lot more than me, but sometimes I've been coached or not coached by, directed by younger folks, and I'm like, okay, I just couldn't see me going back and getting a job. So the Amazon thing became really legitimate pretty quick.
Yeah.
This was like the deal, so we had to make it work.
And then you kind of talked about it wasn't your best move to go get two VAs, even though that kind of took you to the next level.
Yeah.
What did you end up doing about that situation?
So when I got the two VAs, I didn't know how to coach them. And
Mm,
I learned really quick. I didn't know what the heck I was doing as far as
mm,
analyzing products.
yeah.
So two bad things, I didn't know how to analyze a product correctly until I learned Keepa more and some of the tools. We didn't even have AZInsight or RevSeller or anything like that. It was all Keepa, right?
Yeah.
And then, coaching people, how can I coach them if I don't even know what the heck I'm doing? So, at least enough to be dangerous. So I was just coaching them on like, do better, do more, do better. So
Uh-huh.
it didn't work out so good. And then I found ways that I can get leads a different way without having people. And that's literally what I ended up doing is getting rid of the two people and then doing other methods of sourcing.
And what were those?
I did everything from softwares, so like tactical arbitrage to source mogul to what was the other one at the time? OA X-ray, which is no longer
Mhm.
a thing.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of ones out there now, like Nepeto and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and then I bought Leads List, which
Mhm.
it was, unique because I was like, there's leads here's the VAs just replaced, and now I got these leads coming in on a regular basis and more than what they were producing. So that was huge because then I became the sourcing guy and the purchasing guy. So, and over time, I added 1 leads list, 2 leads list, 3 lists, 4 leads list. I was, starting to get tons and tons of data coming in at me. And then I learned how to work leads lists correctly, which was rabbit trailing using variations and software Keepa to find more and more products from it, starting a replens list, all these things that made the leads list way more valuable and overcame some of the tanking and competition, to the point where I learned how to analyze products way, way better. And now I have 2 VAs that do all of my sourcing, leads list sourcing, Keepa sourcing, manual sourcing, all that kind of stuff, and purchasing as well. So I was able to outsource that. So I kind of went in a reverse order, but I got back to hiring employees so that I can take back some of my time.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the challenges that I'm sure you went through, and a lot of new sellers go through, and I think it's where there's kind of a fork in the road, which is how you handle the financials in your business. And some people are really good at tracking that, and other people are not as good. Some people don't want to reinvest the profits, or they want to start taking a paycheck really quickly compared to others. Talk about the financial side for you. What did you do from the profit reinvestments to, cash flow? Cash flow is a real challenge in this business,
Mm-hmm.
unless you just are sitting on a ton of capital in the bank. And then, how did you fuel or fund your growth?
So other lessons learned.
Mhm. Good. I love
I
these.
screwed
Yeah.
that all up at the beginning too, right? I had a credit card, and as long as that card had credit on it, we just kept spending. So
Yeah.
not the way to do it. A lot of things that I coach my students on is to start really easy, which is basically create a spreadsheet, and
Mhm.
on one side put your expenses, and on the other side put your incomes, which is not going to be much, right? At the beginning, but once I started doing some of that, we got a little bit better control over the numbers. We just saw what we were spending money on. And actually, over time, we've learned to look at that over like a 6-month period to see if we're bleeding money anywhere on software. My wife just canceled a piece of software that we weren't really using much of just today, in fact. So it's an ongoing thing that I keep track of the expenses in one side. And well, now we're using not
3P.
QuickBooks, Zero.
Oh,
We're using a accounting program, but
okay.
so we have all the expenses, and then all the incomes are attached to our bank accounts and our credit cards, so we know what's going in and what's going out. And of course, the Amazon check that's coming in, or
Mhm.
Walmart, or whoever's giving us money. So I guess tracking that stuff at the beginning is the biggest thing I can teach anybody, or instill in everybody. Know what's going out, know what's coming in. And once you start doing some of that, it becomes a regimen that you do on a regular basis, which is normal bookkeeping.
Sure.
But I didn't know that because I never had a business like that. I mean, our other business was mostly money coming in, not a lot going out. This is reverse. A lot's going out in products, expenses, and subscriptions and stuff like that. And the coming in only comes once every 2 weeks. That's the way we have it set up. I know some people have it daily or whatever, but
Yeah.
we just have it every 2 weeks, or whenever the checks come in from Amazon and Walmart. So
And,
yeah, I
and
would say the biggest thing is keep track of it.
And then what'd you do about your reinvesting of profits? Like you get pretty happy when you're like, oh yeah, I just made $8 on that one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not really going into your pocket. I mean, it can, but then how do you handle that?
Well, I think it's each individual seller has to decide what they want to make on a regular basis. We wanted to do a little bit more, so we reinvested as much as we could back into the business. I couldn't give you the exact dollar amount because it was
Yeah.
so fast and furious back at the beginning, but we were throwing money right back into the business as fast as we could so that we can increase the monthly spend. That's another thing that I wasn't tracking at all. A weekly spend of products and a monthly spend of products. Now we track that stuff so we know what we're investing in more products each and every month. And that also turned into a goal. it wasn't the goal of sales revenue or the goal of, I mean, the profit for sure is important, but the goal was how much can we spend, good spends, of course, how much can we spend on a regular basis? And then that turned into a regular amount of revenue. Everybody looks at it the other way around, or I did even at the beginning, was, well, what did we sell? What was the revenue? But now I'm looking at how much can we spend on a regular basis comfortably, and then that turns into a revenue, and then we can tweak repricers and things like that if we want to increase it or decrease it or whatever. But that is what I look at now, is what our spend goal is, and that helped us also again keep control of the numbers, keep track of what's going out, and regulate it if we needed to.
Well, going back to what you were describing initially with the roller coaster, if we think about what the leading indicators versus trailing indicators are, revenue is a trailing indicator, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So you're waiting to get the revenue and then figure out what your profits are. Meanwhile, your pipeline is empty, right?
yeah.
So the leading indicator is your weekly spend, your monthly
Yes.
spend. Yeah. So focusing on that, and then the rest of it typically will take care of itself as long
Yeah,
as your sourcing is good, right?
yeah. Well, that was learning lessons too. What I bought became more important than how much I bought. So
Yeah.
I can spend as much as I want, but
Sure.
what I'm buying, is it moving right away or as quick as I need it to?
Yeah. Okay. I really appreciate the backstory there. We were chatting a little bit before we got on. I didn't know we've spoken as coaches briefly, but it really helps fill in some gaps for me. And one of the things that this podcast, not Coach's Corner, but the My Silent Team podcast in general does is there's so many relatable people here. And you've got a super relatable story, both from your personal life and how you got started in the business and kind of what your struggles were. This is what inspires other people. They're like, hey, that sounds like me. So just to shout out to the community, your story, I know it doesn't seem special to you, but it's impactful to somebody else for sure. So would love to have you chat with Jim or myself or Jimmy, come on the show, and you never know who you're going to inspire. So thanks
Mm.
for sharing that background with us, Ed.
You betcha, man.
Well, let's transition into like kind of how you got into coaching, and obviously you got this giving heart based on the other business that you're doing, that you were doing and are still doing. But what was it that kind of drew you to the coaching aspect in the e-commerce space?
Well, I remember the thing that drew me to it was I was asked.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was in a part of another organization and I was asked to coach there. And I was kind of shocked because I was like, I seemed like I was the low man on the totem pole. And then I became kind of one of the sellers to look after at that point. And I took it and I ran with it. I liked talking to people about their businesses and found out a lot about people and their motivations, and their inspirations. Kind of like my story. Why did I decide to do this Amazon thing? So I helped wherever I could help in the way that I was coaching. Flash forward 3 years, I did it for 3 years with that organization, and I was transitioning over to Jim Cockram's group, and I thought I was going to get a coach because where I saw myself at that time was just starting at the levels of some of the people over here at Jim Cockram's group. And that didn't last but 2 seconds before I was asked to be a coach. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm not getting coached. I'm going to be a coach. And I have been doing it ever since I think it's almost 3 years now here too.
Yeah.
So I didn't see myself as a coach, but I've taken on the role as best I can. I hope I provide value to the people that are starting out. If nothing else, helping them to try to wrap their heads around an Amazon business, because it's not always roses, right? So
Mhm.
getting them to understand the work ethic that I had to go through, trying to resolve some of the issues faster than what I had to go through at the beginning, trying to save them time from the roller coaster business and the inconsistencies. So yeah, I love giving back. to a community that's given so much to me, because I have followed Jim Cockrum's group for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And when I came over here, I was like, okay, I'll coach, because I definitely think that I can give back what's been imparted to me so many times, and that motivates me to keep doing it.
Well, your modesty is admirable. You came in with a lot of experience, and obviously a coach who's like, okay, this guy's where I am or further. He should be maybe coaching me. I've certainly had those situations before,
Yeah.
and I've asked those people to come be a coach. So when you see one, right?
Mhm.
When you are one, you see one, and you're like, yeah, you should be over here. And so I'm glad you were asked. That's awesome.
Well,
Uh,
and there's a funny thing, I learned it when I came over to Jim Cockrum's group, is the imposter syndrome. You never think that you're good enough to do some certain thing, right? So
mhm.
I had that coming over here. I thought, oh, all you guys over here are the big dogs, right? And I do notice, and I think this is a common thing. You do notice the people that are posting their great bars of gold, right?
Yep.
And you do watch the interviews on either Jim Cockrum's podcast or other podcasts, and you do see those continuous sellers that I see over and over and over again. And those are the ones that inspire me. They used to deflate me. Not, no offense to anybody that was up there, but
Sure.
it used to be like, man, why am I not there, or why can't I do what they're doing? Now they inspire me, because I'm like, all right, I'm coming to get you.
That's right.
I'm moving up the chain here. I'm getting this. I'm understanding this stuff even more and more, and we're implementing harder and harder. And it's a good thing. So, I just know that that imposter syndrome is gone now, and
Good.
we're just going to keep going, and we're enjoying the ride. We're
Great.
definitely enjoying the ride.
That's awesome. So I'm thinking about, your coaching experience across both organizations. What kind of person or student do you think benefits most from your coaching style?
Well, you know what? I like to have, again, I'm an old man, so I'd like to have somebody who's self-motivated. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing to have inherent in yourself. I had a job where I worked from home. So even though it was a job and I had a boss, I had to motivate myself to work. My other business, we had to motivate ourselves to work. So it came pretty naturally after all of that to do Amazon. Some people come into this thing thinking, you know, do it for me, or my coach is the doer for me person, and they don't want to do the work. So I just think that anybody that comes to me or to Jim Cockrum's group and is self-motivated to get it going without having all the answers, and not making huge mistakes, but not fearful of making a mistake here and there, maybe because they don't know exactly what's going to happen. Those are the ones that I think do really, really well. In fact, I got students that are coaching now because they have taken the reins and just ran with it. So I got them maybe to a point where they started knowing some of the small details, and then they just went crazy because of their own self-motivation.
Hmm.
So I love that. I love that. If anybody comes in the coaching program, if they're ready to roll, let's go. That
Yeah.
works really well with me.
Yeah. The drive, right? You gotta have the drive
Exactly.
because, yeah, if you, most of us, to be honest, maybe that's changed in the last decade or so, but a lot of people grew up having a job,
Mhm.
somebody else telling you what to do all the time. And if you don't want anyone telling you what to do. So when you're not in front of the boss, you don't tell yourself what to do either.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
I have to tell myself what to do every day.
yeah, that's right. One of the challenges I think as a coach is you know what works, but every person is sort of at a different spot in their life,
Mhm.
regardless of the mechanics of the business. So how do you balance that? You know what works, and they, if they execute, they'll find success. But every seller is in a different situation.
I take myself back to when I started many, many times when I'm coaching somebody. First, I'd like to find out where they're at, what they've done, and how far along in the journey they are. And then I could take myself back to that particular time. And that's kind of, I teach a lot by anecdotal stories, like, here's what I did in this situation. It's very relatable to where you're at right now. Let's do this, and this. And that seems to work well for people that take action on those things. I don't like to be the kind of just statistics, do this, do this, do this, like very regimented, even though that is good for some people that are very like, show me step 1 through step 10.
Yep.
And I was that way at the beginning, until I got more, like a little bit less fearful, and just let's make it, let's, I don't like to build a plane in the air, but I do like to, let's get some things. Like, I remember selling on Walmart for the first time. I'm not sure what I was doing. We were just getting products there. I don't know how we're going to reprice it. I don't know how, all the different things that we have to do in Amazon. I wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but we just started getting stuff there, and things started selling. And then we figured things out as we went. They're still throwing wrenches at us, but
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I think works better now, is having a little bit of, yeah, okay, you can read all the manuals, go through all the videos, and step by step, but then you got to take the chance and start doing some stuff and implementing as you go along, and learn along the way. Because that I can't think of anybody who learned the Amazon business just by a manual or a video or anything like that. It's all by school of hard knocks, right?
That's right.
You get the basics from all the videos and whatever you read, but then you got to go do it. And I always say too to my students, especially the newest ones, I think this is a very simple business, not easy, but simple. And the difference is that I always use SSS: source products, ship them to Amazon, however you do it, and sell them. Source, ship, sell. Source, ship, sell. Do it over and over and over. There's intricacies of all those 3 different parts, but if I can just do that over and over, and that's all we do, over and over, then we can. And as you scale up, you can do more of it. But it's very simple. The hard part is doing it, first of all, getting over fear levels of buying a product, spending your hard-earned money, selling that first product, dealing with Amazon's, policies and things of that nature. But, it's simple business, just making some choices to not be fearful of everything. And then you'll learn along the way, especially with all the training impact. You got plenty of support, especially if you get on with a coach. You got all this support along the way. If I had the amount of support that we have today, with everything that's in pack and with everything that you can get with a coach, I probably would have moved a whole lot faster than my 2016 to 2019 slow period, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it helps when you have someone showing you the ropes, for sure.
for sure.
Speaking of that, what's the most common mistake that you see new sellers making today?
Most common mistake is, I guess, the same thing I went through, which is just you buy a little bit and then you sit back and let it sell, not feeding the beast on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Add to it, the not tracking your numbers right off the beginning. If I could have done those things at the beginning, we probably would have been along a lot faster. So, and again, letting fear dictate what you do.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think that's a mistake, not necessarily anything else, an emotion, whatever. I mean, yeah, of course it's an emotion, but it's a mistake to not go, you know what, I'm just going to buy this. And actually, the first product that I sent to Amazon was a product in my closet. It was a couple of doorknob things that I used from a DIY project. And I'm like, I can't figure out this sourcing. I'm just going to send these in. I'm going to go through the shipping part, and then hopefully I'll sell it. And that's what happened. And I was like, oh, proof of concept. All right. And that eliminated a lot of fears of what happens when I source a product, ship it to Amazon, and then sell it. All that went away, and now we can start to build upon that. So, big mistake. Don't let fear.
You have to start before you're ready, because if you wait until you're ready, you'll never start.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, look into the future a little bit, Ed. What's next for you as a seller and a coach?
As a seller right now, we are really trying to ramp up our business. It's been a little bit of a while. I've heard some good other sellers doing some bigger numbers, and as I said, they are inspirations, and some of them younger sellers than us. And we have turned up the notch big time. I actually let a VA go that was one that I had for 3 years, and turned out that that was an inhibitor to some of the growth that we've now have experienced over the last 6 months. So almost to the point where we've doubled our sales because we've probably doubled our input, going
Yeah.
back to the buy, spend go, right? So as a seller, we're looking to, get in that coveted 7-figure seller mark. So close, but so far. And as a coach, I'm enjoying it. I just got with you guys relatively, in the recent past.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just enjoying the ride with coaching. If I can help people, again, if I can give back to what's been given to me, then I'm all ready to do that. And I've done that a few times already under you guys' belt. So yeah, we're just going to keep going with that for right now.
Well, I know we're super grateful to have you in the community, Ed. Certainly grateful to have you be a part of our coaching team. All the coaches here in this group are phenomenally, I would say, giving and willing. There's no secrets, right?
Mhm.
There's, in fact, I was thinking about this earlier when you were talking about one of the questions. And most of the time when we're coaching people, it's not about mechanics or tactics. It's about right where they are. So when you said, I need to find out where they are, right? What have they experienced, and what is their level of motivation, and why are they doing this? That's really the bigger factor. The rest of almost everything that you need to know, you can find out in the Facebook group.
Mhm.
There's great stuff in pack. I mean, you're not going to find some of the great courses, A to A flips and stuff like that's just out there in the Facebook group. But those are strategies, right? They're not how to overcome yourself sometimes, and that's sometimes the hardest part.
Yeah. And I wish there was a course about that, but it wouldn't
Yeah,
help anyway.
right. Nobody ever watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so I got some rapid fire questions for you now. Okay,
Sure.
so these are like super fast.
Try.
First thing that comes to mind. Okay,
Yeah.
uh, excluding Keepa, what's one tool or resource that you can't live without in your Amazon business?
We're a big AZInsight
Okay,
over here. Yeah.
yeah, we used AZInsight for a long time, up until just recently. So I know the
Mhm.
tool well. If you had to start over with just $500, What's the first thing you'd do?
Uh, I would go right into OA.
Okay.
'Cause that's what's working.
Okay, good. And tell me one unpopular opinion that you hold about selling on Amazon.
Unpopular opinion
Mhm.
that you're going to be shut down every day. People
Yeah.
think it's, I mean, here, I've been shut down twice
Okay.
and I'm still running.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just it's a hiccup.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be merely a speed bump 5 or 10 years from now, right?
Yep.
Okay. And last rapid fire question here. What is one quote that sticks in your head whenever hard times come about that you just always go back to, or that motivates you?
Jim Rohn, what you think about, you bring about.
Ah.
That's been ringing in my head for 20 plus years, and it's very simple that if I go down the path of Amazon sucks and Walmart stinks and they're taking away this and that, and I can't stand this or that part of Amazon or Walmart, then I just go into a bad place. And fortunately, working with kids, you don't have that opportunity. You don't have
Mhm.
that chance to go into a negative place. You have to be on your game. So my exercise in that positive thinking, if you
Mhm.
will, is high. It's strong. So what you think about, you bring about. If I think about bad stuff, guess what's coming to me? If I
Mhm.
think about good stuff, then that's where we're going. So
I love that. And thanks for taking care of the quote for this episode.
you betcha.
Just to the listeners real quick, Ed, thanks for coming on the show again.
Sure.
I really appreciate your time today and sharing from the heart, letting everyone know what a giving heart that you have all around, personally and professionally. If you'd like to work with Ed, just let the coaching office know. I'm sure you are taking new clients, right?
Yeah, but they better be ready to work.
All right. That's right. Roll them sleeves up, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, when things go bad, what do you got to do? Or when you don't have enough profit, or when you haven't hit your spend goal, you got to
Test more AZINs.
test more ASINs. All right. Thanks a lot, Ed. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks, everyone. And we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for joining us for today's program. But we've got a little special announcement for you before I let you go. So stick with us. I've got Jeff Schick. He's our resident expert for all things Amazon, Walmart, e-commerce policy and legal. He's always got a good tip or insight for us. What have you got for us today, Jeff?
Well, hey, thanks for having me on today. So yeah, what we've got today to talk about is some of our e-commerce myths that we've been encountering with our clients. And so, one of the greatest myths that I see going around in a lot of online communities is the idea that the IP complaint is the greatest threat to a business. So I'll see, day in and day out, you see posts of people saying, my business is healthy because I don't have any IP complaints, but they think that that's all that matters, or, hey, this brand doesn't issue IP complaints, so it's totally safe to sell. There's nothing to worry about. So I really wanted to just dive into the idea that, there are other threats besides IP complaints, both from an account health perspective or even, like selling a product perspective. So yeah, just wanted to kick off that subject matter.
Yeah, so I know IP is a famous and popular one to kick around and discuss, and I feel like we've gotten pretty good as an industry, as a community, of dealing with those the vast
Yeah.
majority of the time, especially if they have you on retainer, which we'll talk more about that before we wrap up today. But what else are you seeing? What perspective should we have in regards to the other threats?
Well, a lot of times, so people focus so much on the IP complaint that they overlook the more basic things that can actually threaten their business. I mean, number one thing that we still deal with that can be a complete business killer is listing on products that have the wrong brand name or that are listed as generic. And I know we've talked about that years ago as a problem, and it still is. Those listings still exist on Amazon to this day, and people get tied up in listing under the wrong product. Similarly, we have there's risks in the types of products that people carry. One of the examples I'll talk about is like life safety devices, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. Those products are not risk free, and they may have a good ROI, but with a good ROI comes a very high risk profile. So for people that are more risk averse, you may want to think about the types of products you're selling in addition to whether the brand issues IP complaints and things like that.
Understood. And maybe even adjust your insurance as well, which we have great sponsors for that as well, insuring different types of products at different levels of risk.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely want to talk to Ashland before you start listing, a smoke detector, for instance, because, unfortunately, product liability law in the United States is what's called strict liability. And so it means that if you have a product that is defective, and defective is kind of an interesting one because defective is defined three ways in the United States law. Defective design and engineering, meaning it could have been engineered to be safer. Defective manufacturing, meaning that it was manufactured according to specs that were safe, but that there was a manufacturing glitch, like maybe they forgot to connect one of the battery wires or something like that. And then the third one, which is the one I like to hate on the most, is failure to warn. So not putting enough warning labels on something. But all of those make, any of those types of violations are treated the same. And it makes the seller, so anyone that touched that product in the supply chain, so you as the seller, Amazon because they handled it, UPS even could have some liability if they took your package. You bought it from Home Depot, they've got liability, their vendor has liability, and then the manufacturer has liability. So
interesting. I know you've got quite a few clients. Have you dealt with any of those where the seller was held responsible for a malfunction of a safety related product? Is that in your purview?
we haven't had a safety related issue, thank God, because that would probably have involved loss of life, or at least extreme property damage. But we have had, we did have a seller who sold a defective water filter that flooded somebody's kitchen and basically caused like $40,000 worth of damage to their house. So that was that was an interesting case. And then we've also had cases of, private label sellers. For instance, we had one of our private label sellers was selling a kitchen item that was chopped somebody's finger off. So it's, so there's definitely some things we did, I've given also the example before of we had a reseller who sold their first product ever. It didn't have insurance, and the product it was a cosmetic that caused the person to go to the hospital when they used it. And so the seller had to pay the person's hospital bill because the person who went to the hospital did not have health insurance, and the seller didn't have business insurance to pay for it either. So the seller had to personally write a check.
Wow. That's crazy. So these are the kind of reasons why someone these and many others would hire you guys to help navigate the risk profile, I guess, of the products you're considering selling. Is that
Absolutely.
something that you guys do for your clients?
We do, especially so if people are thinking about private label, we always tell them, hey, let's talk about it, because product safety can be the biggest killer to a private label brand, and a really fast killer too. From a private label perspective, and then also even from an arbitrage perspective, because sometimes sellers will find these killer deals, and we just we'll talk it through and make sure that it actually matches with what the seller is comfortable taking on risk wise, and making sure that they've got all their ducks in a row. Like, we're not going to write the insurance policy, that's Ashland's work, but we're happy to help talk about what you need to talk to her about to make sure you've got.
Outstanding. Yeah. It just opens up. I like this topic today because it opens up the possibilities of the unknowns. I would say the vast majority of what we deal with probably is IP complaints, but
Right.
There's other things going on and huge benefits to putting you guys on retainer, paying a very small amount monthly, and then you handle these things and help people navigate these questions and make sure they avoid the traps that are out there. So jeffschick.com, spelled just like the razor, SCHICK, jeffschick.com. Get over there, put these guys on retainer. If you're serious at all about your business, you'll be shocked how low the price is. And you can rest better at night knowing that you've got some pros, Amazon policy, legal. I just really appreciate you guys. You've been serving our community so well for a long time. And this was a great topic, I think, today. Any other notes before we let you go for the day?
I think we covered a lot. I appreciate you guys having us on, and I guess the big things for sellers. Just think beyond obviously Keepa graphs are important, but think beyond IP. Think about all the other risk factors when listing products, because especially if if you're deciding between two products, like you might be looking at a a blender on the one side of the TJ Maxx aisle, and looking at a pair of Nike socks on the other side, one of those is going to be significantly more risky to sell than the other. So, if they both have the same profit margin, it may make sense to go with the less risky item.
Exactly. Although, I have heard of people getting injured because they wore two left-footed socks instead of the left and the right. People sue for weird things. No, I'm just kidding. It's an old runner joke.
Okay.
Get the socks on the right feet. But it's people can sue for anything. So being covered. And this has actually turned into a little bit of a plug for our mutual good friend Ashland Haddon at ecom.insure as well. Another great sponsor of our show. But appreciate you, Jeff, and I'll have you back next week if you're around. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Right. Okay.